because now, if I'm being like just totally honest, I have no idea what it would be like to be a new player now.
Yeah.
Because back in my day, things were different.
Yeah.
We used to raid uphill both ways.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talk about all the Pogcast things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And sorry, honey, but the kid's not coming out.
The kid's not coming out.
I need to follow up on last week. I made a reference to the fake psychic medium who like told the parents of a missing kid that their kid was dead, and then it was found like 4 years later alive.
4 years later is insane.
Her name is Sylvia Brown.
And she said,
"Sorry, honey, but your kid's not coming home." Are there real ones? No, actually, that's a good point. Saying fake psychic is kind of redundant. That's a good point.
Are there real ones? Yep. That's funny.
So how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Good. Not a lot going on. Just been playing obscene amounts of Tarkov and buying a house. So just...
Yeah, that's epic news.
Yeah. Exciting.
GG.
Very excited, but just been a whirlwind with the kids and the
true.
YouTube and the wipe. And we're going to be moving in August, first few weeks of August. So...
Oh my God, August is coming up.
So Nikita, if you're listening, make the wipe the second half of August.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. There you go. I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure he will also postpone the patch for me. For sure.
Yeah, that actually reminds me. Today is my 9th wedding anniversary.
Oh!
With the wife, yeah.
Wow, happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Coming up on the 10 years?
Yeah, the emerald, golden, I don't know what any of the rules are. So,
it's like, it just makes me think of like ranks and like I don't know what any of them are, but in like Valorant, like, are you platinum, dude? Are you plat 2?
We're plat 2.
Next
we just
year,
got
me
and my
two.
wife just got plat 2. Yeah, true. Oh my God, I'm going to be like, yo, babe, congrats on the elo spike. Congrats.
Dude, that would be... Somebody needs to find the original whatever list and redo it with like rankings. Like
the boomer rankings. Yeah.
Yeah.
This like bronze ribbon bullshit.
No. I'm talking elo.
Bro, I have to make a sort of, it's half an announcement, half a warning, half a cautionary tale. So as of the second week of my recovery from my surgery, I'm now on to like pureed.
Oh,
foods.
Yeah.
And let me
upgrades.
Of all the things, and trust me, I've gone through pretty much all of them in my head conceptually. Of all of the things possible that you could puree, macaroni and cheese is, to me, seems like the least gross of all of the. It's all gross, right?
Yeah, I can.
But like you think about it, it's just like cheese, right?
Yeah. It's like if I had to puree something I didn't want to puree, you kind of would think mac and cheese.
Spaghetti, like I feel like that's better than spaghetti.
Yeah.
Well, it's I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but I also wouldn't recommend against it. It was challenging.
Oh,
imagine if you picture like if you took 3 sticks of butter, and then took like a blowtorch to it. That's basically like what it looked like. Not like burnt, but just like melty, mushy. It was dude, there's something about food that like a pasta noodle. It doesn't have like a shell, right?
No, yeah.
But it's a different experience chewing on a pasta noodle than it is putting an already chewed pasta noodle in your mouth.
Yeah,
right,
dude.
Right?
Yeah.
just eating it with a spoon in that way, like you would ice cream, is
Oh
so.
no.
I was struggling. So today I kind of slightly prematurely broke the rules a little bit, and I made ramen, just like top
Yeah.
ramen, but I like sliced the noodles up to where they're like little
Yeah.
pieces.
Yeah.
It wasn't a liquid. It wasn't like a paste.
It wasn't
A paste.
emulsified. Yeah.
Yeah, paste is a good word. A paste. And it was honestly fine. And this was like the first normal meal I've had because
So I bet that was delicious after 2 weeks.
it was the greatest thing I've ever eaten in my entire life.
Yeah.
I will. It's the greatest thing I've ever eaten. Dude, I cannot tell you how difficult it's been having this diet. I go all day long.
Bruh.
I have a Go-Gurt and a Jello, and I just diarrhea all day. That's my life. It's my fucking life, dude. It's terrible.
That's awful. I would hate that so much. I
discovered one thing, though, like literally an hour ago, that's the greatest thing. And I try like the Boost and Ensure protein because I need protein. I'm going to fucking die, if I don't get protein for 6 weeks. But in protein shakes, like I got used to them in college when I actually like worked out and whatever. But like I just can't like drink the whey protein shakes like all day every day. Have you ever had the Fairlife milk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is like almost a protein shake in just milk form. It's got like a ton more protein and it's lactose-free milk.
It lasts like 10 times longer than milk does. It tastes better.
Yep.
They have a protein.
Yeah, I've had those.
And it tastes exactly like the chocolate milk.
Yep.
Like the chocolate milk protein shake is identical
to just
there's no
the
weird
chocolate milk.
Aftertaste.
Yeah.
So this is like, I'm so excited for this because now I'm gonna probably eat like ramen and chocolate milk for the next like 2 weeks. Until then, I can do.
So
like
you can upgrade. Yeah.
Minced meat and like finely chopped pasta. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but
dude, that it reminds me of like, have you ever seen the like liquid thickeners? Like my mom, towards the end, she needed she needed any liquid that she drank to be thickened up. It was something with like her throat and the muscles and swallowing, and it was like, I don't remember.
Interesting. It's the opposite of what I
think. But it was literally, so they gave her this, it's like powder, and then even like Go travel packets, and it's flavorless, but you pour it in anything and it thickens it. So like we would
put in like Sprite.
Yeah, no, you could, dude. We would take some of the travel packs and just like, if our friend, we were at a restaurant, our friend was in the bathroom, we would just stir some in his like Coke and thicken up his Coke. It's so weird because it doesn't change. Yeah, it's called like Thicket. Yeah, so and
is it like a slush, like a frozen Coke?
No, it exists somewhere between like Jello.
It's a plasma.
It's like slime. Yeah, it's like a plasma. Like it does that to whatever your drink
like what happens when you puree mac and cheese.
Yeah. And you could just like keep adding them and it just gets like, it's weird. It's the weirdest stuff. I never seen it before, but I mean, they literally use it to like thicken up. So it's something about using muscles when you're swallowing. I don't know.
Interesting. But dude, I have a new appreciation for my great uncle Gil. We might have talked about the stamps. Did I ever talk about stamp collection? That whole thing that I went through like last year or whatever. Oh, he had a stamp collection that I'll have to show you a picture one day. Imagine like, I know different parts of the country like don't have basements. Do they ever have basements? Like where
no, there's no basements in Florida, but I've had houses with basements.
Imagine just like a normal house's like basement, and imagine like one, like the width of a house wall, and then imagine floor to ceiling bookshelf, and then imagine 3-inch binders filling the whole thing with every single country in the world filled with stamps. Yeah, and I inherited everything, including a stamp collection, and it was
holy cow,
bro! The amount that I went into stamps, man, like.
That's
wild. It was one of the most stressful things ever, too, because the man, like, you look at a stamp, and the way that you would determine if it was worth 5 cents or $500 is counting the number of, like, the little, when they cut them, they had the little indentations.
Ridges, where it's like kind of perforated or what?
It would like that, and if you look at the Abe Lincoln, like the wisp of his hair had a line here versus not. That's how you determine whether or not it's a 1923 versus a 23 late edition, bro. And imagine every page has 30 stamps, and there's
Yikes. Literally tens of thousands. That's
in the yeah. So, but anyway, that's completely beside the point. He had multiple bouts with oral cancer, so he had a ton of surgery. You know, I mean, just back in the day, everybody smoked cigarettes and whatever. And for the last like 10 years of his life, he couldn't eat anything solid. So he was on this and like I always, you know, obviously you feel bad, you know, for the guy because he like loved food. And now after a week of it, I'm like, this man deserves a statue.
Yeah. Like, yeah, thinking of doing that for a decade.
Like, holy fuck.
That's, oh my God. Ugh. Yeah. Well, those were random things, and I guess a great segue is if you like us talking about random things. So we have kind of like a small announcement to make. It's like a pre-announcement, but me and V have been talking for a while now, and we talked this morning of we're considering starting a Patreon for the podcast. It's kind of come out of we have loved talking about more and more things outside of like Tarkov and gaming. And we've noticed the episodes have gotten longer and longer and longer. And you guys have been like eating it up, the amount of support that we've seen. And so that's just something potentially to look forward to. There's a ton of things we would love to do. Like the Pogcast community has kind of become its thing. Like Veritas has his community, I have my community. There's always been a lot of overlap. And now like the podcast community is growing. So like, doing like Q&As, opportunities to talk about other stuff, potentially additional episodes. We're like consolidating all of our really, really old episodes that are kind of all over the place. Like just a bunch of stuff that we want to do that is like extra ways to engage with us and the podcast and stuff like that. So
yeah, maybe like early access to episodes, potentially, like I said, like he said, other additional kind of content where similar to this, but maybe we're talking about anything from you know, like less Tarkov focused stuff and more about like all of the other shit that we talk about with a whole bunch of like community involvement.
There's like there's tons of ideas, like tons of stuff we'd love to do like long term, but we're thinking about it. We want to keep it simple and really start with just like engaging more with you guys and talking about more non-gaming related stuff, because we've kind of noticed that like where we'll go on tangents, we'll talk about Twitch and content creation, we'll talk about movies or TV shows we've seen, we'll talk about stuff going on in the world. And so we wanted to kind of throw that off in the beginning to let you guys know that that's something that we're planning on, we're working on. And I guess a thank you guys for what the community's become and how much like I just like it's still crazy every time somebody comes in and is like, dude, best episode of the podcast yet, or like awesome episode. I'm just like, there's still a part of my brain that's like, you listen to this? Like, it's crazy. Like, it's just two old men on a front porch yelling at the BSG devs as they ride by on their bikes. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
Dude, like as consumers of content, we like, I don't know about you, but I live in two different worlds where it's like, I view content creators of the content I like, the podcasts I listen to, whatever. In a completely different light than like I view myself.
For sure. I mean? As a content creator.
And like inevitably there are people who think about me like I think about the people I listen to. And it's so weird. It's so weird. And then when I reflect on like if I was ever at like Starbucks and I was behind like Griffin McElroy, like I'm like, I need to step out of my own shoes and think about how, knowing him, how would I want someone to react to me? And then I need to like adopt that to like try not to be awkward or weird or whatever. It's such a weird thing to like consider.
It is.
But obviously like people have been asking for more, wanting more.
For sure.
And we're not planning on changing anything really about like what we do, like the core show. So if it's something that you don't necessarily want more than what we got, then by all means keep on listening and everything's gonna be fine.
We're not gonna take away from this to do there. We just want to do more.
So otherwise, we got more coming, and obviously more ways to potentially support us
For
and
sure. Yeah.
make it a win-win. So
Yep.
anyway, that's that.
So that's that. Be on the lookout for that. Coming the next few weeks. Speaking of next few weeks, Tarkov land, wipe soon, imminent. You know what I mean? Last week we spent like 3 hours talking about everything on a million things, and now it's just like we're just in that holding pattern. You know what I mean? It's like exactly why it's one of the reasons why they don't talk about wipe, because then it's like once the hype of the wipe announcement wears off, it's just everyone's like
Everything they do in between doesn't matter anymore.
It's the holding pattern. Yeah. I made a video. I made a video the other day where I was like, now is the best time to start.
I saw that.
Because I really firmly believe that. There was a line I put in there where it was like, there's two different learning curves in Tarkov. There's like the skill, but then there's the knowledge. And you can just get such a head start on the knowledge. You know what I mean? Like,
and just the experiential part of it.
Yeah. Hopping in on a wipe day and not being like, what's an extract? What's a heavy bleed? You know what I mean? Like, what guns take what bullets? Stuff that's simple, not having to worry about that is pretty tremendous. So I think it's a good time for new players to start, even though they'll probably just gonna die to the Chads running around. But
well, it's either they do it now or they do it then.
Yeah.
When it's more long term, the costs, right?
Yeah.
It's like right now they can go and lose all their shit
and just recoup it in a few weeks
and just get it all in a couple weeks, as opposed to losing all their shit in the first, in the first week of the wipe, and then struggling for the next few weeks to like get back on your feet when you're already like kicked while you're down.
Exactly.
Although I don't know, like it's hard to say. I'd have to like ask some people who recently started, because now if I'm being like just totally honest, I have no idea what it would be like to be a new player now.
Yeah.
Because back in my day, things were different. We used to raid uphill both ways. So like I don't know, but it's hard for me to like. I even feel bad. Every day I get comments. Every single day I still get comments on my like ultimate beginner guide video, where I tell people to like go in and like run factory and do offline mode and stuff and headshots and whatever, and like thinking back to at least the last few times I played, I'm like, man, that would be fucking terrible.
Yeah.
From what I remember. But then again, like it still might be the best thing. It's hard to say.
It is. That's such a good point that it's really hard to understand what it would be like to be new now, not only with like the content of the game, but like the amount of content. Like when you were new and when I was new, and if I was looking for a beginner guide, there weren't that many. But being new now, everybody not only has a beginner guide, but everybody has like 4 versions of it that get updated, like including myself. Like I updated my beginner guide when the game had changed a bunch. So now it's just like there's so much more information. There's so much more. Like we got the benefit of like learning a lot of the new guns and new systems as they came. But like there's 3 times as many systems in the game than when we started. There's 10 times as many guns in the game. There's 3 times as many quests in the game. And so, yeah, that's true. But I still think it's like all the more reason to once again, like shift your expectation to like, I'm just going to die no matter what. So I can learn as much of that as I can and then get a jump start for the wipe. Because chances are, the guys you're running into are going to have really good stuff. But like chances are you didn't die because that guy had an RSAS, right? Like chances are that guy right now that's level 68 with the RSAS could have killed you with a Beretta. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way it is. So, but it's been good. I've been just like, I know I just keep saying this, but I just like keep no-lifing streets. That map is so good, and I'm still just like learning it. Like it's crazy. The fights we had, I tweeted out the other day, even late wipe, like no events going on, just random. I tweeted out a screenshot. I had a 9 PMC kill rate. I killed 9 PMCs on streets, died to the 10th, and heard other PMCs fighting while I was in a fight with the last guy. And it was just like, it's just nuts. It's just like pure chaos because they increased the player count on streets. And so it's just been like, the raids have been insane.
Must be a free-for-all, dude.
It's insane. I was solo and I was just like killing everything that came across. It was nuts. So the fights have been good. The map is just like, it's like freaking, it's like the best parts of Interchange and the best parts of Shoreline Resort. And it's just like big and there's so much traversal and there's so many little rooms. I'm always like, my favorite thing to do is like go open a room, like a keyed room that I know nobody knows even exists, and then chat 8 people. What key is that? What key is that? Wait, what's in there? What's in that room? There's just like so many random locked rooms that nobody has the keys for that have like nasty angles. Like the amount of Streets is a map. It is play play to win. It becomes so apparent when you have map knowledge on that map. Like there's such a skill ceiling for map knowledge. The amount of times, like in the past few weeks, I've one-tapped a guy and the like chat erupts because the angle, like today, I jumped on a cardboard box. So there's in Lexos, which is right in the middle, there's this big green Connex. And there's 2 entrances. On one side of the Connex, there's 2 entrances. And on the other side of the Connex, there's 2 tiny windows. And I jumped on a cardboard box, crouched down, leaned. I had a VSS, and through the window, through the entrance, into Lexos, looking up the stairs. A PMC was slow crawling up the stairs because he heard Airwing Marine, and I just one-tapped him. It was like 8 different surfaces, and I just saw the top of his head because I heard him and I knew where he was, and I knew I could take that angle. And it's like,
that's sick.
It's just there's a million different places to do that where I just know I hear this a metal, I know where they are, and I know I can jump here or do this. Like the angles are insane, and they're all over the map. Like it's wild.
Dude, I can't imagine being a new player. Like my gut's telling me that being a new player on Streets would be terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
Like so overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's literally like the most complex map we had was like Shoreline.
Yeah.
And that's nothing, and then a building that's basically symmetrical.
Yeah.
With 3 corridors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that was still like, and 218 and then 216
yeah,
and then
seriously.
224.
What floor?
And then like,
where's
God.
the little things that made Shoreline fun to fight, like knowing which floor had a hole in the floor where you could drop to the floor below. Like in East Wing, it's on the 2nd floor in the middle, but on the West Wing, it's at the 3rd floor at the like, you know what I mean? Like knowing that stuff meant you were good at Shoreline. There's that, but that's why I've been telling people like play Streets now. Like if you're new to Tarkov, probably try to learn Streets. If you've been playing Tarkov but you've avoided Streets, like I know a lot of people still can't play it or can't play it with a lot of frames, but like that, because the map is about to get expanded, it's only going to make that harder. You know what I mean? Like if you haven't played it, like this is the only wipe that we've had where we got a new map, and then the very next wipe, that new map got expanded, right? Like traditionally, like we had customs for years before that got an expansion. We had factory for years before that got an expansion. So normally you get a new map and then you get to learn it. You know, even Lighthouse, that was in for like 2 wipes.
Incremental.
Exactly. But Streets is already the biggest, most complicated map. And if you don't know it, like I'm going to have such an advantage running around because I'm going to get a cursory understanding of the new expansion. And I just have such a good understanding of the rest of the map. And it's like, so and don't feel like you have to learn every one of those little like crazy angles. Just a cursory understanding of it helps a ton, knowing how to traverse it. But it's just, I love that because I'm not very like mechanically like Valorant, you know, aim labs. That's not my skill set. So like having a map that I can stretch the other muscles, like the map knowledge, like I don't have to be very good at flicks if I just outmaneuver you and one tap you because you think I'm over there. You know what I mean? I don't have to be very good at flicks. So, yeah, it's been really kind of fun, and I'm super excited.
I literally just saw on Twitter, this must be the Labs event because there's insurance on Labs right now.
Yes.
It's working.
Yes. So we got the Chronicles of Ryzhy last week. Like it was like another episode. Yeah, big. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the one where it's all about family, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so this episode was weird. I watched it and like it kind of didn't feel like anything happened. Like they were like looting like an abandoned town, and the one guy that's with Ryzhy cut his hair, and then they met Gluhar, and he got a phone. Ryzhy got a phone and like logged into the internet, I don't know. I guess I don't think I understood it.
What kind of phone?
I don't know. Probably a 1G phone, a Summit 1G phone.
Oh shit! So he's
yeah, swag. But anyways, people found like in a random like still frame in the Chronicles of Ryzhy down on the ground like a string of letters and numbers. So people started going back to the ARG stuff, and you know the Sons of Soon, Nice Guy and the Sons of Soon began and went on their adventure, and there was a bunch of and the terminal booted up, and then there was a bunch of stuff, so they were actually like figuring stuff out, and it started getting crazy with like I legitimately can't keep up with it, but it ended back on like another like in real life thing. So what there was one in Tokyo. There was like these flyers, like literal flyers, like taped to the wall. Like there was one in Tokyo, there was one in LA, I think. There were 4 total.
Paris,
yeah, St. Petersburg, Paris, Tokyo, and LA. That's what it was. And so there were 4 different things, and basically they need
to fucking go to the actual shoreline, like
the
resort in real
sanatorium
life
or whatever it is, yeah,
and find like 301 or whatever and fucking put it there,
would
dude.
be sick. Did you see? It was Axel or Bakizi? Yeah, I went to it. Yeah, which was sick.
Yeah.
But
didn't that get torn down? I fucking hope not.
Yeah, I hope not.
Because they're gonna have to delete the map. Otherwise, it's not realism, you know.
Dang, it got ripped down.
Wow.
Sad.
Well, fucking casual game for babies.
Wow, dude.
Not realistic.
No, Nice Guy had it right all along. The nuke is getting dropped on shoreline. You know what I mean? Anyways.
What does that mean? Never mind.
And radiation? People have been asking about radiation. It's all connected, bro. It's all connected.
God.
So anyways, like the ARG forked off into like 4 different strings of mysteries that they needed to solve. And they solved like the LA one, or no, they solved the like St. Petersburg one first. And that resulted in the Labs event. And the Labs event is Labs is free, and you can scav on Labs, which they did last wipe, and it was an event that everybody thought was pretty cool. The other thing, though, is, and I don't know if this is intentional. So the 2 things to this are, I don't know if it's intentional, but they broke. You cannot scav army. You can't scav with anybody on Labs. And it doesn't seem intentional because when you invite people and like the invites just don't go through and it like borks it and you have to reset your game. Like it doesn't seem like, you'd think it would just be like a message that says you can't do that, right? If it was intentional. But it seems intentional because that's what was hard about it last time is it's just like 8 scav armies. You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of scavs. But, and then the other thing about the event was that insurance works on Labs, which I didn't know because why would I start insuring stuff on, you know what I mean? I guess it kind of makes sense because the scavs are there and they're the ones finding the insurance. Proper is sending the scavs. I don't know. The event is madness though. Absolute madness. Yeah.
Is Labs playable now?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like, so it's hard. Okay. So like I played the other day and for 4 straight hours, I didn't die. And it was the most fun. It was like every once in a while you get a team of like Timmies who are like obviously playing Labs to learn it. You'd run into people who are like mid-geared, who are like just trying to learn the map. You'd run into some sweaty boys, you know what I mean? And it was a really healthy mixture of all of it. It wasn't like all sweats or all Timmies. It was like some level 60s, some level 20s, some level 30s, some level 10s. And raiders and AI scavs spawn, and because they've been pushing this whole like entity count increase, right? 60 players on streets. I told you that they increased the amount of scavs on streets. People are killing 80 plus scavs in a raid. I told you I felt like they increased the amount of scavs on other maps as well. They did this event last wipe. They definitely increased the amount of scavs that can spawn. I mean, it is like it is factory horde mode on labs. Like labs right now is factory plus, like factory S plus. It's factory, but more PMCs, more scavs, more player scavs. It is just like you have to bring 500 rounds in an SR25. Like it's just non-stop shenanigans. And some of the raids were so good. It was like 5 PMCs and 29 scavs. And you get out and you're like, that was such a sick raid. You can't loot anything because you're just like running around.
Damn.
And then like I played the next day and it was like 8 deaths in a row. 3 of them were to cheaters. And then it was just, and then I was like, oh, screw this, you know? But the map performs well, even with all of the omega amount of scavs.
Labs I used to get like fucking 400 FPS on labs.
It's crazy. I was getting 250 on labs with, you know, you get the really bad lag spikes when everybody spawns in though, which sucks. Like when it's like all the player scavs spawn in, all the AI scavs spawn in. But there's PMCs and the lobbies are pretty full. There's raiders, there's player scavs, there's AI scavs, and it's just like crazy. But yeah, apparently insurance works on labs too, which is I don't know.
So slightly less bad. Like at least you could go there, and when you die to the cheater, and he doesn't pick up your shit.
But that's the thing is like it's funny because it's insurance, but there's quadruple the amount of entities. In a normal raid, it's far higher than quadruple. In a normal labs raid, there's maybe 7 other players.
Yeah.
But now there's maybe 11 other players and maybe 77 player scavs. So it's like your stuff's getting picked clean. You know what I mean? Like you're not making out of there. You know what I mean? So
true.
But it's fun. Labs is fun for a little bit for me. You know what I mean? I enjoy the sweaty PvP. I enjoy trying to get better at it, but I just can't hang with those guys. And it just, my fuse for labs is shorter. I die to a few cheaters. I die to a few just like giga sweats bouncing around. And no disrespect to them, right? Like that's whatever. It's just, I can't hang in like 5, 6, 7, 8 deaths in a row. And I just go, let's play streets. You know what I mean? It's just.
It's like when you're at the gym and you're like playing basketball with your homies, right? And then all of a sudden these like 6'8" bros come in and they're like, all right, let's fucking go shirts off. Then it's like, this isn't fun for me anymore, dog.
Exactly. But it's like, I'm glad you're having fun. I'm glad you're doing the thing. You're definitely better than me, but this isn't fun for me anymore. And it's the same way. It's not even just labs. It's the same way with factory. If I'm playing factory and obviously this is going to sound super dumb, but it's just the way it is. If I'm playing factory and we're living, it's super fun because it's churn and burn raids. But like 7 deaths in a row on factory, and it's like I want to at least be in a raid for more than 5 minutes before I die. So that's just the value if I play a bigger map like streets. You know what I mean? I might be in the raid for 20 minutes and then die, and at least I got to play the game a little bit. It's just with the smaller maps and the super concentrated PvP, the fuse for the amount of deaths is just shorter, where I'm like, okay, let's go play another map. Let's change this up. So, I mean, yeah, now is the time to play streets. Now is the time to play labs. You know what I mean? Learn the maps. It's late wipe. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? The scav on scav violence is unreal. It's labs and late wipe.
Oh, because people don't give a fuck
Nobody
about their
cares about karma, dude. I swear to you.
So now it's like the old days.
This guy, I scavved in on labs, and this guy was like, yo, help me with all this PMC loot. Like, I can't take it all out. Help me, bro. Help me. And I was like, I was like, no shot. I was like, no, man, like that's sick. You kill these guys? He was like, yeah, I can't. He kept saying, loot this guy, man. I can't take all this. I can't take all this out. And I was like, no, dude, I'll cover you.
He's like, you're trying too hard.
I'll cover you, bro. I'll cover you. You loot it up. And he was like, okay. And then like, they were all in the extract. So like you could try and go loot for a little bit, and then you have to run out because you didn't want to extract. It was all these PMC bodies because the scav extractions are just up against the elevators. You don't have to call them. You just stand at an elevator. So there was like a bunch of dead bodies at the elevator, and I was like, yeah. And I hopped in, and my plan was just to leave. And he dropped a backpack, and he was like, dude, I got a surprise for you in here. And I was like, shut up, dude. No way. And I just extracted. He was like, no, come back. Like the VoIP right as I was leaving. He was trying so hard to get me to loot a bag so he could shoot me in the back of the head. He's like, I got a supply
You think
for
that's
you.
why?
100%. He was so sussy.
You think but he couldn't have he just shot you?
Yeah.
Like, I assume you were just standing there,
I
right?
think I think people want the clean one tap. They want the looting. I was
because they're that bad that they won't be able to.
Because I thought that that's what he was trying to do. So I wasn't standing still ever. I was like moving around. I was like around the corner talking to him, and I was like serpentining in the extract. And if he's afraid that if he shoots me and I shoot back, I win. He wants that clean one tap. So I don't know, but so the scav on scav violence has been pretty hilarious, but it's kind of is what it is, right? I don't really mind. But yeah,
I mean, I still think that there should be that should be an actual viable option.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, what's the point of these mechanics that give you the fake idea of player choice when you don't have choice?
Yeah, I still think that the whole system, I think, is still scuffed of how hard it is to gain the karma. It's weird. It's the classic BSG conundrum where they it's the rogues. The rogues are easy to farm. The rogues are easy to kill. That's true and false. We've talked about this before. It's the paradox of the rogues. If you have 1,000 hours in Tarkov and you know exactly where to lean peek, the rogues are easy to kill. But if you don't, the rogues are impossible to kill. And it's like that with karma, where if you're a new player, you know what I mean? People should be like, oh, just take all the car extracts on all the maps 5 times and you're pretty much there. But to a new player, it's like, what does that even mean? What maps have car extracts? How do they work? How do I take them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many times do you need to take them? So it's a weird thing where you can boost your karma crazy if you know what to do. But if you don't know what to do, it's going to take you 10 years to get max karma. No matter what your karma is, if you accidentally shoot a friend, you're going to lose all your karma. It's just such a scuffed system. So I would love to see that played out a lot better. And we've talked before, I would be down. Oh yeah, don't even get me started on Santa. What a terrible, terrible.
I don't want to talk about it.
What a terrible mechanic.
Yeah, Nikita ruined Christmas. Yeah, IRL for me now. I see Santa. I'm like, no,
please God. I love the idea of bad scav. If you get bad enough, the old Skyrim, you get the letter from the Dark Brotherhood and you get a quest line. I love that concept, but it's just there's so many other aspects of the karma system that need work before you get there. I mean, we talked forever ago about how there should be a visual identifier. If your scav karma is negative, every time you spawn it as a scav, you should have bloody clothes. You know what I mean? So if you want to go down that road, there's risk and reward. Maybe you get a quest from a cultist and maybe that is awesome, but you risk now every player scav that runs across you knows that they can kill you for free karma. You know what I mean? I think that there needs to be, the risk and reward needs to be there on both sides. Also, it's still so scuffed. It's still just, I still can't believe that level 2 fence exists. I can't believe it. It's the most scam. It's the biggest scam BSG's ever pulled. The biggest hoodwink of all time was adding a second tier to fence and literally just putting an MP9 and an Untar armor on it and a half-used IFAK. It's just, if you take what fence has and filter it by the worst possible things, that's what tier 2 fence is. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. So I don't know. Yeah, this guy karma's crazy. But yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot going on in the Tarkov world. Just kind of waiting. A lot of people have just been kind of processing what this wipe is going to look like, because last week we had just had the podcast. He had talked about so many mechanics. He had talked about so many things. He showed off so many things that it's kind of just debriefing and okay, what is the August wipe going to be? Mostly quality of life stuff, the standard new guns, new gear, new armor, a lot of the stuff, a lot of people are just confused that like the really dramatic things, the recoil system, the hitbox, the armor system, like those are the things a lot of people are arguing about. Those things aren't coming. We're going to get a short wipe. It's going to be quality of life. I really hope they can fix the things like the memory leak is still really, really bad. That bug where like you have the low FPS and then you shoot and then you get high FPS and then it drops back down. That's been happening a little bit less frequently, but still happening. Also, Airwing did a video where he was like reminding people to clear out their logs. And we were talking, and dude, the amount of people that didn't even know that they had like people with like 11 gigabytes of Escape from Tarkov logs, just like from like 2021 on their computer. It's like,
oh my God.
Delete that. That might help with something. I don't know. You're at least going to get some hard drive space. But yeah, so not a whole lot of Tarkov stuff happening really. The only other thing was Logical posted something about, I don't think there's any sort of like, I don't even know how you would test this really, but a bunch of people have been reporting like crazy hit reg or no reg issues with some ammos, like specifically 5.5A1, where like I've seen some clips of people shooting a scav in the face a few times, not just the one, or PMCs. Like I think Zek, he's a streamer I watch sometimes, saying that like on his end he got like a 14 hit count. And but when he was fighting another streamer, so he watched the streamer's end, and he only, like on Zek's end it says he died, but he said 14 hit count, and on the other end it was like he only got hit like 3 times, like he said and it was like what the hell?
So the question I have though is, did the other guy, like if the ammo was, it depends on how the ammo is bugged, right? Because it could be similar to, remember when like the revolver shotgun or whatever with like like certain ways of loading.
Oh yeah.
Shot. I don't remember exactly what it was. I talked about it in a video at one point. It might have been in the Steam audio video when I like talked about eroctic testing and how it was like wrong.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was like kind of like a network sync where the bullets were never in your gun to begin with. The question is, did the guy hear the gun shoot and it hit him a bunch and there was no damage? Right? That would mean would make me think that the bullets are bugged. Maybe they had a typo and they made the damage 0 instead of 40 or whatever.
That's interesting.
So
yeah, it's like it could be a million different things. And then other people are reporting that SP6 for the Val does double damage, but then people are saying testing and offline raids doesn't show the same thing. I don't know. It's so hard. I mean, it's like people are trying to figure out, which is good. People are trying to figure out if there's bugs, but it's like so hard with the netcode, with the just like the stutters and the FPS issues. It's just like so hard to tell. And just like notoriously, we've known in the past that some of the after action stats haven't always been accurate. You know what I mean? So that's hard too. Sometimes you're like, look, we'll watch my clip. There's blood splatter. Well, that blood splatter is client side. So it's just, that doesn't always mean you got a hit. You know, maybe it means you thought you did, but then the server said, no, you didn't. You know, I don't know. It's super hard to test anything in the game. But that was something that people was saying that's happening. The performance of the netcode and stuff like that has still been, it's like we still get these bugs, we still get this memory leak, we still get like really big stutters and like hiccups when scavs are spawning in. But it's like, it feels like like kind of what I was saying earlier, where like the bugs got worse, but everything when you're not experiencing a bug is so much better. It's like weird. I don't know. It just, there's all these weird things happening, but it still feels better. But the weird things feel weirder when they're happening, but when they're not happening, things feel better. Audio's been super weird and scuffed. I have a ton of clips of me just like shooting my gun. Like at the end of a scav army, I'll just like shoot my gun and there's no audio of the gun shooting. So it's just complete silence and you hear all the shells hitting the ground. Ding, 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 ding.
For you or for everybody else?
I don't know. For me. And so I'm like, then I extract and I'm like, what the hell?
Yikes.
I think I have had that happen where I was taking damage from somebody and his gun wasn't making noise. Or maybe it was a scav. I don't know if I told you about this, but there's a bug going around where like a scav will Yeah, that was the clip I posted. What was I trying to say? Oh, there's a bug where the scavs will sound like they're like 80 kilograms, even if they have nothing on them. They're like dunk, 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 dunk. And I think they're PMCs. I've seen a bug a few times where a scav is heavy breathing after he's dead. Just like forever. Like you can just like walk up to the scab and he's just like heavy breathing, laying on the ground. It's super weird. Dude, there's a bunch of weird stuff, but I don't know.
Huh.
It's when it feels good, it feels really good, and when it's weird, it feels really weird. I don't know. But it
sounds like Tarkov.
Yeah. But it's been fun. So I mean that's really it. We're just waiting. What is it? The 27th August is next week, next Tuesday. August begins, and so begins the countdown. I don't know why there's this theory people keep coming to me and saying, is the wipe really August 1st? And I'm like, no, please tell me who's saying that. I haven't had anybody come in and say the wipe is August 1st. I don't know who's saying it, but I've had a ton of people be like, is it really happening on the 1st? And I'm like, who's speaking these things? They're lying. So I don't know. But yeah.
So what? You don't know the date, right?
No, yeah. He said sometime in August. I feel like that means it's safe. So the other theory is if you go to the
Thursday.
Yeah.
It's the Thursday in August.
It's the Thursday in August. If you go to the Tarkov leaderboard thing, the season of leaderboard rankings ends in 34 days. It ends on August 31st. Now, a lot of people think that means wipe is August 31st. I think it more means that was just like, that they were like, we'll do the ratings through August because we don't know when the wipe is. So we'll just go through when the wipe is. Or if not, it'll just be to August. Like if we have to postpone it. Like I think they just had to put an end date on it. So they did the 31st. But a lot of people think that means the wipe is happening on the 31st. I don't think that holds a lot of weight. I just think traditionally it's safe to assume that the later half of whatever Nikita says, you know what I mean? Like they said he was so confident. He was like, we're getting streets in 2022. Like it's happening. And the wipe was December 28th, 2022. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's fair to assume mid to late August and hope that it doesn't get postponed. There is a world where they're like prepped. They're like ready, that they really just wanted events. They want to wrap up some events and then rip it. Oh, but that's the thing also is that he said in the podcast, yeah, there's no way it's new, because he said in the podcast that there's going to be the whole big event. Remember, he was like, there's going to be a big event and a new quest line that ends in really good rewards. Man, last week we talked about like those rewards wouldn't be good unless they crossed over. So I imagine that's going to take a little bit of time, because if you do actually have cool rewards and an entire quest line, you want to give people the time to do it, right? Like not everybody's going to get through it in a day like I might, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm too stressed to think about it, too stressed with other things happening in my life. I hope it's the second half of August, but I'm excited because I think this wipe is going to be good. All right. I hope it's going to be good. I'm excited for quality of life changes. And yeah, I don't know. We're waiting. I imagine the other, the only thing is like, we don't know if the other 3 forks of the ARG thing are going to end in events as well. Because what it seemed like, what Nice Guy kind of basically surmised was whichever fork of the ARG got solved first was going to trigger that fork's unique event. And the St. Petersburg one got down to like labs is free. But he tweeted something about like they finished the LA one. Another branch was finished, and it talks about an event where all bosses would be on streets. But we didn't finish that one first. So like we don't know if they're going to then activate those other events or if it was literally just here's 4 possibilities and whichever the first one. Please, God, give me an event on streets. It doesn't have to be an event that's only on streets, but not a single one of the events that they've done in these past 2 months have included streets, which is weird because it's like the map. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They did the event where the bosses rotated maps. They rotated between 4 different maps. Streets wasn't included. And everyone's like, well, not everybody can play streets. But that's what I'm saying. It's like include it, and it's only on there for 3 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like, so it's weird. So I was excited that I saw something about a streets event, but we didn't get that one first. So we're just waiting. I don't know. So that's it. The hype personally is still very high for this wipe. I'm ready to do it, but we're just kind of waiting around. Just power leveling streets.
Patience is a virtue.
It is. What's going on in the Diablo world? Last week you mentioned, because it was the season 1 started, right? We still haven't talked about that. Like a week and a half ago, and we still haven't talked about that. How's that been going?
I mean, honestly, I've been really enjoying it. It's been one of those things where it's like okay, so right before the season started, they had a big update that was basically like the patch that was all of the changes, like balancing and everything, was like a week before the actual season.
Okay.
Like the seasonal content, which is where like you create new characters and there's like literally a new quest line, entirely new mechanics added to the game. Cool. And people were butthurt.
Wait, the internet
really
upset?
Yeah. So one of the reasons why everybody was upset was so far there's a million different stats that you can have on your gear, right? Mm-hmm. One of those stats is vulnerable damage. There's like critical damage, which is like, you know how when you crit, it's usually like a multiplier, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, you always, like fragmentation, you always want to crit.
Yeah.
Well, all of the other stats, there could be like damage to close enemies or damage to poisoned enemies or whatever. All of those the percentages are additive.
Okay.
So there's that bucket. And then there's multiplicative damage, which is basically like critical and vulnerable for all intents and purposes. I'm simplifying it.
Gotcha.
So you could get like 10% critical damage, 10% vulnerable damage, or 10% damage to close enemies. And the difference is that like in the formula, what it looks like is like there's like a base damage stat that you have. Yeah. It's like based on your strength if you're like a barbarian or whatever. Then like effectively it's like times the crit multiplier of all like everything critical, everything times everything vulnerable, and then times open parenthesis all of the additive damage added together. So like 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.1.
Oh.
So what ends up happening is like if you have it's super hard to like conceptualize unless you have like paint or whatever, but effectively 10% of vulnerable damage is like 100 times better than 10% of the 1,000 other things.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And you only get 4 stats on your gear.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody wants like critical strike chance, critical strike damage, vulnerable damage, and then like strength or dexterity, whatever like your main stat. Like, that's it. And what it led to is basically you can have 8 million different stats, and 4 are the ones that you want.
Yep.
And all of the classes except 2 of them had ways to. Remember how I said vulnerable damage was one of those things? You need to make the enemies vulnerable.
Okay.
And like 4 of the 6 classes or however many there are have the ability to make them vulnerable all the time, always with the click of a button. And the other 2, like it's like once every 10 seconds or whatever. So, and then like vulnerable is just massive. So if you didn't have it, you couldn't find it, you were just wicked underpowered.
Yeah.
And then also it being in the game like reduced the like it's kind of like the illusion of choice. It was like, imagine you have one bullet that's like a bunch of pen and a bunch of damage and then a bunch of flesh rounds, like, which are you going to take when everybody has a bunch of armor? The new players are going to be like, look at all these options. Maybe I'll choose this. And they're like reading the description about like, this is a tracer round. And they think that it's like relevant. It's all irrelevant. It's all bait. It's all, you know, like, do I want PST or PB 9x18 or do I want RLT or L? It's like, no, it's all trash. You don't even want, you know? So yeah, like someone said, every build was kind of homogenized. And I was actually working on a video that was like the illusion of choice in Diablo. Now what they did was they balanced a few classes. They nerfed a few things, which obviously people weren't excited about, but they reduced the ranges like significantly of all of the vulnerable and crit.
Oh, okay.
So now what that did is it was like, if you had like 2 chunks of your power, it was like everything else and then vulnerable and crit. And then they just made these worse. So you're playing a game that's a fucking power fantasy where your goal is to like, you want to click a button and you want to make 90 people explode in front of you.
Insta die.
Over and over. You know what I mean? Like that's what you want to do.
10 million pop up. You know what I mean?
And what they did is they basically nerfed those things and then also nerfed a few of the characters. And then some of them were just bugs. Like at one point, one character or one class was doing, I saw a clip where it was like 10 to the 32 power damage, which like crashed the game. It's like there's just not enough bits and bytes in the computer to show a number that big. Where like normally like a lot of damage is like 5 million, like 50 million is like you're the godliest character. Once you start doing what you need exponents, then you know something's wrong.
That's insane.
That's like a bug. And one of the characters that I played last, like within the preseason, it was super enjoyable, but it had an interaction that was bugged. It wasn't super broken, but it was doing way more damage than it should have.
Yeah.
But it was like the power fantasy level of damage. And then they fixed the bug, and then now it's just mediocre. It's like, so people were really butthurt. And I was making a video that was working on the illusion of choice, basically saying, we don't have choice in the stats. You're pigeonholed, and so it's uninteresting for veterans. It's all bait for the new people because, like, even you know Boopus McGoopus. We've made music together. He's member of a ton of communities around here. We go way back. He played Elden Ring and beat Elden Ring with a level 1 character. Like he's like a Chad gamer, he's not a filthy casual, you know what I mean? And he was like, bro, I'm really having I'm having a struggle. I'm struggling at like level 30. I feel like, going from like 20 to 30 was like a real slog and I'm not doing a lot of damage and whatever. Now, when I looked at I had old clips of when this season from the beginning, I was like level 16.
Okay.
And my attacks were like proccing like hit for like 5 to 10,000 damage.
Okay.
I was watching him and he was like 34 damage, 52 damage, 100 damage. And he's like, dude, it's like really kind of like this. I'm like, bro, what the fuck did you do? Like, what have you done? Like, do you have anything? Like, or do you have any gear? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm like expecting to this. And he like put a bunch of time and effort into thinking and planning out his build. And I looked at all of his gear and I'm like, so if you have 1, 2, 3, there's a helmet, chest, gloves, pants, boots, like an offhand weapon, usually 2 weapons, 2 rings, and an amulet.
Okay.
Right? Times 4 affixes, stats on each, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's just say 40.
40.
Out of the 40 possible stats, where you really want like 30 to be high and the stat you want. Like 3 out of 4 is getting 4 out of 4 is like impossible. And he had maybe 2 stats that were useful out of 40.
Dang.
But he had a whole bunch of like extra damage while berserking and damage to crowd control enemies and a whole bunch of things that he's like, I have skills that make me berserk and I have like skills that make enemies bleed. And it's like, but the problem is that if you make enemies bleed 10% of the time and you've got 10% of bleeding damage, you're doing 10 more damage out of 100 damage attack 10% of the time. And then the other 90, you're doing no damage. And even then, so it's like, it's just a giant bait. And
interesting.
So once I'm like, okay, forget about everything. Forget about your whole build and your synergies. Forget that you're berserking and you got bleed and all that stuff. Forget about all of that. Just vulnerable, crit, and like strength. And that's all. And he's like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, like his build suddenly became better.
Yep.
But it's like, now, again, I was making this video where I was going to say, like, this is a problem. And then how their patch kind of made it worse. And in the middle, I had like an epiphany, and I went back and watched, because a week after, they did like a campfire chat with the devs where they had like 3 or 4 devs, and they talk about, and honestly, it was like the Tarkov dev casts, except 100 times better, because everybody there's like a community manager guy who's like, he's, whatever, nice, knowledgeable, but there's like the literal like lead game designer, the associate game, like it's a game director, the associate game director, and those guys actually understand game design. And what the campfire chat was basically saying was, listen, we brought the power level of everything down, and we understand that that's not fun. We promise we're never going to do that again. It was a one-time thing that we had to do for whatever reasons. We're going forward. Our main priority is you having fun. We know that you want to feel godly. The whole point of these games is like, we're challenging you to break it.
Yeah.
Not doing quintillions of damage and you crash the game, but like the whole point is finding these crazy interactions where if it's all, it ultimately comes down to, you want to multiply as many numbers as you can to make the biggest number on 100%, screen.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
And a lot of people were like, oh, they're just fucking caving to blah, 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 or they're trying to do damage control. And honestly, like, I kept having an epiphany going back and watching, and I realized, like, what they're doing is not only genius, but everything that they said along with it is so fucking like thoughtful from a developer standpoint that it's so refreshing. Because they said, like, our commitment, the one goal is that you guys have fun. So that's going forward, what we're going to be doing, like, first and foremost. If there's ever any issues where there are things that are, like, mega overpowered, if they're not game-breaking bugs, we're not going to rush to fix them. We're going to try to make interesting alternatives to those things.
Yeah.
So rather than take away your toy, and they even said this, so like, rather than take away your toys, we're just going to give you more toys.
Yep.
So that, you don't feel like, if I want to play Barbarian, I got to play, Whirlwind Barbarian. Otherwise, everything else is just like way underpowered. So why would I even bother? It's like, make all these different builds interesting. And one of the most significant things is that I realized that by bringing down how important vulnerable damage is, they're not trying to make everyone weaker. What they're doing is bringing everything in line so that now getting a 30 or 40% buff to damage to close enemies is potentially just as much as vulnerable. Again, I'm simplifying.
Yeah.
But so what they did was, it was almost, oh my God, I just thought of this now. It was almost like, how in music, you compress the audio and then you boost it up.
Yep.
So that you have like super loud but heavy hitting, whatever. That you get like the most bass and the most punch as you compress, and then you raise the volume so that everything is like loud. There's not these crazy peaks. And that's kind of like what I think what they're planning on doing is, like, they're shrinking this down and then they're going to boost everything up to a reasonable point. I mean, they could do that a million ways. They could boost everything up, or they could just bring the stuff down, which they did. Actually, the end game content, they actually brought down a little bit. So I think they're kind of going to do this to make it so that you can have a lot more options to also be godly, to still have fun while having a challenge.
That's super interesting, because that's what I was going to say. It's like, it's so hard with those types of games. Like, I remember, like, I haven't done ARPGs, but I've dipped my toe into a little bit things like The Division. I remember when The Division first came out, there was a stat called perfect balance, and it was first shot. It reduced all bloom from the first shot of your gun, but you could roll perfect balance on DMRs, which meant you had no bloom ever because every shot was the first shot because it was a semi-auto gun.
It's semi-auto, yeah.
So it was
that
like
the meta? Everybody
it
used
was
DMRs?
like you had to have a DMR and you had to have perfect balance on it, and because you could just like quadruple the amount of damage output because you had no recoil and you can hit all headshots, and like then you balance that with crit, and it was like I just remember that being a thing. And it's like those games are so hard to balance because like what's fun about them is the complexity, what's fun about them is the amount of skills, but then it always gets reduced to whatever the best is. And it's like, and so I think people like a lot of people reject metas. And I think like, there will always be a meta in a complex game like this. I feel like what nobody's done, like what Tarkov hasn't done very well, what not many RPGs have done, is just making everything else not that much worse than the meta. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Normally, when there's game-breaking stuff, it's because the meta is 8 times better than anything else. You know what I mean? But you do have, if the meta is 6% better than everything else, well, then you can have variety. And if you don't get the perfect god roll, that's okay. You still feel powerful, but there's still something to chase.
And the people who don't know the meta aren't at a major disadvantage.
Yeah, they naturally rise to 80% of what meta is anyway. And so that's what I was thinking earlier when you were talking about how there's however many different aspects, but it all just boiled down to you really wanted 4. It's so hard to do that. But so basically what you're saying is what they're trying to do was they're trying to like eventually buff everything, but because this one thing was so bad, by bringing that down, you're aligning it instead of buffing the entire game up. If it's such a narrow thing that's causing this multiplicative insanity, just by bringing this one down, and everyone's mad because the entire game had basically anchored their builds off of this one little sliver. Interesting.
Yeah, so the way I look at it is like they just ripped the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people look and they say, you guys are dog shit game designers, blah, blah, blah. You ruin the game. You don't know how to balance everything. And it's like, nobody is ever good. You think they're going to balance the game before it basically the first season ever comes out? They're going to get the balance perfectly right. Like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
It's just never going to happen.
In a game like this, especially.
Yeah. So I think within the first like few months of the game being out and them seeing, you really get an idea for like how are people playing the game.
Yes.
Which it's hard to, when you've been looking at something for years, you get so like focused that you don't see it the same way that other people do. You don't see interactions. You won't see, potential metas. You won't necessarily have the same ideas unless you employ like 100, of like the best ARPG players to like beta test stuff and then to give you feedback and whatever. But like, at some point you just got to say, for the most part, we know what we're doing. We're going to put stuff out and we're going to iterate. So like overall, it was both a super refreshing, like, wow, this is what I and other people have been wanting from like every other game forever now. There's always like, you got to nerf this, you got to nerf this, you got to buff this. And it's like, they almost always just like end up nerfing the good things. And I really think they're doing well. And like, it's so depressing how like the Diablo YouTuber meta is put out one video a day that's reacting to like some drama opinion hot take video, which was almost always Diablo dead, Diablo worst game ever, Diablo broken, the developers don't know, whatever. And like, bro, the Metacritic score is 2.2 out of 10. This is one of the best games I've played ever.
For the whole game?
For the whole game. Because people are butthurt loser morons.
That's insane.
Who just get mad that they hear in the patch notes that they're going to buff a thing and they all rage without understanding how temporary and minor and good the changes are.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel bad, like
that's crazy.
And it's good though that the devs are like at no point have they done but we did this, or they don't try to defend anything.
Yeah.
They don't try to justify anything. They say, hey, listen, we're learning, we're listening to you guys, and these are the changes that we're going to make. And it's like everything that they've said is like direct feedback. There's been a shit ton of quality of life improvements.
Oh, okay.
Like before, when you'd want to run these dungeons over and over and over and over again, you used to have to, you'd like use this item that would like unlock the dungeon. And then you would have to go to like the nearest waypoint on the map and then like ride your horse to the thing.
Okay.
Which would take like 30 seconds or a minute every time. And when the dungeon itself is 3 minutes, it's like really toxic to ride a broken ass glitchy horse through the overworld. It's like, it's so annoying. So then they just made it so that like you click on the dungeon icon and it just like teleports you to the entrance. Like it's something so simple that we've been asking for things like that in Tarkov forever. Like, can you just make us do this one thing? And it's like, yeah, planned. And then 3 years later, it's not. And they just, in the first patch, they just did it.
Yeah.
People were complaining about some of the XP. They like went and buffed the XP. So like now it's actually like way faster to get to like a level 100. Like with Diablo 2, it would take you like hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 fucking hours to like get a character to level 100. Now it would probably take you like a couple of weeks.
Really?
Yeah, so they're making it a little bit more accessible while also adding a bunch of stuff in there that I think is like underappreciated for like end game stuff that people just don't realize.
Yeah.
Don't realize what's out there. And actually the best fucking irony too is one of the things they added, like the boss for the campaign, the new like seasonal campaign.
Okay.
You can go and fight this boss in like a different kind of dungeon. Before, like endgame was like you do nightmare dungeons and that's it. This is like a different kind of dungeon where the seasonal specific items drop. They're like these like hearts that like you can socket into items that have like broken, busted mechanics that are, I think, actually kind of interesting. But you can go and basically fight kind of this more challenging end game content. It's not like, remember how I don't even know, did I ever talk about how I fought Uber Lilith, the like end game?
Yes. Yeah.
And it took me like 500 attempts or whatever. This is like a much easier version of that, but much harder than, well, not much harder, decently harder than every other boss.
Yeah.
But the thing is, every time you kill him, a lot of people don't know, he drops 2 items guaranteed that are like the highest item power, like 800 item power. Like the highest is like 840. If you find like 780 or higher, you're like super stoked. And remember, I did a video where it was like, you don't know Diablo items, and it was talking about sacred versus ancestral and how like sacred isn't dog shit. Well, before, sacred items would really only go up to like 730, and now both of the items he drops are 800 item power sacred items, which like shouldn't be a thing. But the fact that it's sacred is, again, like irrelevant.
It's funny,
but now it's like my video
stamp of approval on your video.
Know,
that's crazy.
Oh god, it's just so satisfying that like I'm like, well, every time I want to screenshot and make like a YouTube short and be like, eat shit, everybody commented.
I watched your video too, even though I don't play Diablo, and it's funny because like you like, and you send the point home on this, like, now are you gonna be able to walk by that sacred? And now it's crazy that like the items people are like farming for, the best items that you can get most consistently are sacred items from this guy.
And it's literally the only thing in the game that you can do that has like any sort of reliable, predictable thing. Everything else has a ton of variety in the strength. It could be terrible, it could be great. Like there's no, and that's one of the criticisms, is that like with some of the super rare stuff, you kind of want, like if I have a specific build I'm going for, I there needs to be some way for me to get like to target farm where like this guy drops this item more often, even if it's 1 in 1,000, right?
Because because getting the item is just one of the roles like then getting the item with the stats you need is like, so being able to farm the item isn't necessarily the end of the world because it's still a rare chance.
Well, so in this case, there are unique items, and what unique items are is they always have the same stats.
Oh, okay.
They're different. There's different ranges depending on the power level. You can still roll the dice, and like you can have two of the same items, and one's like god tier and one's like mediocre. But like it might have a thing that is like there's one with like druids that like your werewolf skills are like also elemental skills or something, which is like that means that you can be like a lightning werewolf now, which you couldn't do. Like it just doubles the it's a build defining thing, and there are a few items. I'm sure I got the details on that wrong because I haven't played druid, but and it's like you just play until you hopefully get it, and it's one of like hundreds of possible, thousands of possible items, and some people are just like, well, I guess I just keep playing. So it's really cool that you can go and there's not as many like enemies necessarily, and it might not be the best XP per hour, but it's cool because it's like really quick. It's like a fucking 90-second dungeon, and every time you kill them, it's like a guaranteed high power item, which is just one less RNG roll. Sometimes you get the god tier stats, and it's like all the top rolls, and it's like 600 item power, and you're like, well, useless, right?
Yeah, rip.
For a sword, if I want a sword or armor, where the item power determines the damage and the armor value, it's like now if you want to farm any of the things where item power matters, boom, you have it. There's so many good things about what they did that are so many things that people asked for. And they've already talked about how they're going to be buffing other stuff, how they're going to be buffing XP, how they're going to be having more target farming stuff, how they're going to be like, it's so much shit. And like the cherry on top, the pièce de résistance of this whole thing was I had tweeted out, because me, like I like testing, and I want to build like a calculator, and I want to figure this stuff out. One of the things you don't have in the game is like a target dummy. I want to just be able to walk up to like a target dummy and like hit it with my sword and see the damage number pop up, and then like switch out my ring and then hit it again. But you can't do that. You have to go and run out to like a group of mobs, and you're getting hit, and you're like, you can't do like simple science to understand like how is this number generated? I have no idea. Like I don't even know what the base like damage modifier is, and that's the first variable that everything gets multiplied, and I don't know what it is. And like I like not many people do. And I tweeted at the guy, one of the guys, like the associate director guy, I mentioned him. Where I basically said, like, I've got a concept for like a target dummy that would like fit in with like the lore of the game. Like I want there to be like a cellar where there's like a big demon that's just chained up, and he just doesn't attack you. You can just go up to him, you know what I mean? Like something stupid like that, where it's like it's not lore, or like immersion breaking. He you can see like effects where he get knocked down or whatever, and he's just a prisoner that you get to beat up, like
damn.
And I mentioned one of the game director guys. Now oh god, I know that they changed the name. I don't even want to talk about it.
No.
But now one dude responded to my tweet. This just makes me so happy. Responded to my tweet and said, dude is so delusional from playing Tarkov so much that he thinks Blizzard is going to give a shit about a tweet with 30 likes. And I just screenshotted this and sent it as a response because the game director liked the tweet, which like BSG's never liked the tweet. The fact that the guy read it, and I said, I can't stress enough how game-changing it would be for the community's understanding and enjoyment of the build crafting process to be able to have like a target dummy feature. And the fact that he like liked it is just infinitely like it's on his radar. He saw it. He liked the tweet. Like normally you don't like the tweet if you've got, if you're like important at all and someone just like mentions you, right? Like so many people have like Twitter EPs that they're like, I'm not gonna like a thing. Anytime anybody mentions me and it's positive, I fucking like it. Like, whatever. I'm not above that. And he's the associate game director. And I just tweeted the little upside down smiley face, and he responded with,
love his response.
I'm a jackass. Don't mind me.
That's like the best response. That's like better than like, I'm sorry, bro. Just like, I'm a jackass. Don't mind me. Like,
I forgot to like that. I gotta like that because that's solid. It's like, I mean, he didn't double down, you know. He was just like, well, I guess I'm an asshole.
Damn,
you know?
That's hilarious. That's dope that he liked it.
So now I have like the feeling, like if I made a video that was like a decently short video where I actually came up with I have a feeling that he would watch it.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they watch all this stuff when they say like, we read what you guys are saying and we're totally listening. 100,000% believe it.
Yeah.
That they're watching all the videos of all the stuff and hearing all the feedback and whatever. So I don't know. I'm excited.
That's super. The whole thing is super interesting. It's that's cool. It's so sad that it gets so soured by just like one thing that people don't like, or just not being able to see the end game, see the forest for the trees, seeing that like, is there a universe where this thing you don't like serves the future thing you do want? You know what I mean? Is there a universe where this thing serves that potential future, the exact future that you want, where there's more builds and there's more variety and there's more fun to be had and there's less homogenization of just these four things, and like maybe you just have to eat it. And it's hard because like it's just like, yeah, man, we're not the attention economy of the internet, and just like the lack of accountability that the internet gives. Because so let's say delete the internet, like the Diablo 2, Diablo 1, when these games came out, and if they made these passes, it's just like, you might hate it. You would hate that change. You would keep playing the game. You might then months later see like, oh, that actually ended up working out really well. Huh. And that's like your train of thought, right? Like because it was just yourself, because it was always your inner monologue, there was never a need to be like, to reflect and be like, I was wrong. This was good. It's just a running inner monologue. You're like, oh, this is dumb. And then a month later, you're like, I wish they would change that. And then a month later, you're like, oh, dude, this is super fun. And it's like,
you're like, oh, sick. It's never like good on them.
Exactly. It's never... but it's okay because it's just you. But now it's all an externalized, vocalized thing. And there's never any accountability on that. You know what I mean? It was like the thing I always find funny is 24 hours before Streets of Tarkov came out, people were telling me like, you're such an idiot for thinking we're getting Streets soon. It's not going to be for another 2 years at minimum. And those people just disappear into the ether, being dead wrong. You know what I mean? So we vocalize and externalize the front end, the sharp opinion of everything, and never reflect, because by the time like that opinion, you know, given enough time for that original opinion to be proven wrong, there's just something new to be angry about. You're never actually like reflecting on, oh, well, this thing I hated actually ended up being a good thing. We're just on to something else sucks. So that's just so brutal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why I think like me and you and a lot of other people, although we're in the minority, just like see things differently on the internet. Like more reasonably, where I very rarely ever have to like say my stance on something was wrong, or like, so where I was like kind of disappointed to hear about like they're nerfing everything, huh? Like, damn, I'm like worried my build got nerfed. It was so much fun, you know. I'm like, but you know, we'll have to see, because what I'm doing is I'm saying it sounds like it might not be good, but I don't know everything.
Yeah.
They know more about their game than I do, surprisingly enough. I'll have to give them the benefit of the doubt if they have some idea or some vision of this, and I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic. And so far, you know, the Diablo devs haven't made that like a copium ridiculous. You're grasping, you know. because like it's hard to do that with Tarkov with a straight face.
Yes.
Because they've just let us down so many times.
Yeah.
You know, if someone makes a couple mistakes and they say I'm sorry and they make it up to you and they say I'm sorry and they make it up to you, you know, to a reasonable degree, at least if it's early, right? It's like, cool, like we can move on and, you know, this might be a great relationship going forward. If, you know, dad doesn't show up to your ball game every week for a month and then he's like, oh, don't worry, I'm going to come to your ball game. You're like, eat shit, Pops. I know you're not coming to my ball game. You know what I mean? Like, you're dead to me.
Yeah.
Mom's boyfriend's my new dad, you know, like.
No, for sure. And it's like, I don't know, because people just don't even, like, I was trying to think. So yeah, you were saying that you are just okay to like give the benefit of the doubt and like consider it, and it's just crazy. It reminded me of the
having a tentative opinion.
Yeah. Yes. That's what I was trying to figure out. Yeah, having a tentative opinion, being like when you were like, you said that you read these and originally you were like, oh, like you shared that sentiment of like, oh, why are they nerfing all this? Why would they do that? But because you didn't close that door and be like, they suck, this sucks. Now you can say what you don't feel like you have to be like, go back on your stance. You don't feel like you have to be like, I was so wrong, guys. This is going to be good. It made me think of I don't remember what happened. Do you remember the day Tarkov changed something that had to do with strength and inertia? And I was live and like I got feedback from the community manager that it wasn't what we thought it was. And I tweeted and I just got torn apart all day long because Logical said this and Landmark said that and friggin' Nice Guy said this. And I was like, I don't know, man. I was just giving, and I was like, I hated that. I hated that day. And it's so funny because I can't remember what the change was. That's how cheap, like we make such strong and such like deeply rooted opinions about such.
And that was like one of your most stressful streams ever.
It was one of my most stressful streams ever. People were coming from Landmark stream or someone's stream to be like, well, he said it's different. And it was just a wrapping paper flowing away in the wind. It was a nothing burger that people got so butthurt about. Nobody talks about that anymore. Like nobody's ever since that day been like, that change they made on that day, I can't play Tarkov since. I bet nobody would remember.
They expected you. They said, bro, what's your unreasonable knee-jerk
opinion? Unwavering opinion on this.
This is how I deal with everything. I come up with unreasonable and actually what they do is they probably latch on to someone's unreasonable knee-jerk opinion, and it was either going to be yours or Landmark's or Rengar's or whatever,
or A-Rings
right?
or someone.
So that's what they wanted from you, and when you know,
and that's the circle. That's the closed loop, the closed feedback loop of the internet. Is the 99% of people don't want to take the time to formulate an opinion. They just want to attach themselves to the opinion of someone they like. 99% of the time, the someone they like is motivated by negativity.
Engagement.
They're motivated. Yes, they're motivated by money and including myself, by the way, money and views and attention and growth. Engagement. And those things, so that's the circle, is millions and millions of people say, I would just want to be a part. And that's a good point. I want to be a part of a group. I want to be in the know. I want to have the right opinion. And then they all look to a few select people. Those people are motivated by ultimately, and I'm not even saying I hate those people. I'm not saying it's those content creators' faults that's how we've ended up. But I just like, do you see the circle that happens where then X person makes a video, they formulate an opinion, they want that opinion to be as negative as possible because then they can title the video this way and they can thumbnail the video this way and they can get millions of views, which puts money in their pockets. That negative opinion is then absorbed by a million people and then attacked. You know what I mean? And that's why it's funny because it's like people almost get frustrated with me when I don't want to make an opinion on something where I'm like, I don't know, man, we'll just wait and see. And it's like, pick a side. That's like, no, that's not how this works, bro. Like,
dude, and I was like, you know, there have been times where I'm like, you know, kind of crack a little bit and I'm like, okay, Like, let me play the game a little bit, but in a way that I think is going to be good. Let me do a react video where I can provide balance and reason to the, like, because I think a lot of people watch one of those criticism videos, and if I explain, the whole, like, they're trying to bring this down to bring everything up because it's going to be better than bringing this up later, and then everything is broken and not fun, and then they have to do it later. It's like, that might actually, give perspective to some people. But then at the same time, I think about the way that I feel about, like, Diablo. Like, I used to watch Diablo stuff a ton.
Yeah.
Because I love to hear, like, Asmongold, whatever. And now even, like, every Asmongold video is, like, him reacting to, like, some Diablo drama. And it's like, it kind of became a little unfun.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm enjoying the game. I hate all this, like, just the negativity, whatever. And if it was, like, reasonable negativity, I could at least be like, I'm enjoying the game, but it's valid criticisms. A lot of these criticisms are not valid. But the oh my God. And this is perfect because I just refreshed my subscription feed. And what I see is why I quit Diablo 4 from Asmongold, the Diablo 4 downgrade conspiracy. It's like there's 3 negative Diablo videos on my feed. And so now I don't have to watch them. I don't have to know anything about it. I just know Diablo's on fire.
Yep. You can
because
just
everybody's post. So it's like, now I don't want to, if I do Veritas reacts to Diablo is on fire video.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to, like, put in the thumbnail. I have to actively work against the clickbaitiness of the video that would make it succeed by being like, actually good though. But I can't do that because I need you to wonder if I agree or not.
Yeah. It's a crazy. And then, what's sprinkled on top of that closed feedback loop of, like, the human psyche wants to be a part of a group, so they want to attach to an opinion. The people who have the opinions that people want are the ones that are motivated most by negativity. Ultimately, they're not directly motivated by negativity. And then sprinkled on top of all that is this, like, generational subconscious desire to just, like, F the machine and F big corporations. So any opinion in defense of a change is like, you're a shill. Like, you're just like, and it's cool. It's cool to, like, rage against the machine and just say that big game companies suck. And I'm not even saying that that's wholly unjustified, but I'm saying it's been taken to an extreme where, like, I see that all the time in Tarkov. I'm like, oh my God, finally, they're taking away the sharpness, the painkiller effect. Sick. We've been asked if it took them 3 years, could have done it in a day. They suck. Like, it's like, I'm not saying, like, why does this have to get so weird? I'm excited that they're making a change. That doesn't mean I'm wholly in defense of everybody's personal everything. And it doesn't mean they could have done it 6 years ago and when we were begging them to. They haven't. All I'm saying is that I'm happy they're doing it now. You know what I mean? So everybody just goes to this, like, you have to disagree because they're the game company. And if you agree with them, then you're a shill. And if you disagree with them, you're cool, like me and, like, Asmongold. We're cool. And it's just so weird.
I wonder if they actually, I mean, I know that they don't, but you think, like, they did a thing that they should have done years ago. Grumble, grumble, grumble.
Yeah.
And then, and so there's a difference between, so I'll be like, it's about fucking time, but I won't write that in a response on Twitter. I'll think it, I'll say it out loud, whatever, but I won't say it to them. To them, I'd say, great fucking work.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're like the dog, what you said, sit to the dog, and the dog sit, and you have the treat, and then you're like, no, bad dog. That, like, if you want them to keep doing the good things, then fucking praise them when they do the good things. Like, when you turn around, you give them the treat, and you walk away, you can grumble about the fact that they shit on your floor, right? But, like,
oh
my God,
it's, dude, it's so weird. It's so weird, and
we're fucked, bro. I'm telling you, mark my words, this is going to be a clip in 20, 30 years when like our generation is running for president. We're all so fucked, dude.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be content creator-esque people who are going to be running for president with the fucking YouTube chatters who are going to be the voters at the rallies. It's dystopian. Someone needs to make a fucking, like, this needs to be a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Where it's like, fast forward where this
like a presidential like whole race is like YouTube drama. Like
fucking Biden reacts to Trump tweet, you know, like, can you fucking imagine?
Yo.
Actually, that would be hilarious in like a ironic meta kind of way.
Yeah,
bro. Honestly though, you know what, again, I know politics isn't everybody's thing, but oh my god, why am I completely forgetting his fucking name? You ever just have one of those moments?
Hit me with a hint.
Fucking the presidential candidate.
The Kennedy guy?
No. The my god, why am I hate this dude. I fucking voted for this guy too. Bernie Sanders. Holy fucking
Cerny
Jesus.
Banders.
I don't know why I want to say Barry. I'm like Barry
Manilow.
I could totally fuck with Bernie Sanders responding to tweets and shit. That would be. He's the only politician, and you might not like Bernie. Listen, this isn't about politics.
No,
it's just like that would be fucking hilarious.
Yes, I want all of them reading
he's
tweets.
He's the hippest old man. He's the only like hip old man there is.
Yeah. That would be
shit
S tier content. Yeah, man. I mean, you're not wrong. It's scary. But then, I was gonna make this point earlier. It's kind of cheap though. All the negativity, like, I don't know, does it lead anywhere? I don't have the numbers. I don't know how to get the numbers.
No.
What's the player count? The daily player count of Diablo, and what was it 5 days before the season? Because if the player count hasn't changed, then they know that's the thing, is they know. Like, I believe that. I believe that they knew everyone was going to hate it, and they knew people would just keep playing because, like, what else are you going to play?
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm sure there probably was some amount of dip, and some of it is probably just that's what happens with the seasons. It drops off. Some of it could be self-fulfilling, where there was no big deal, and everybody's saying, "Oh my god, this is going to be so dog shit," and it's on fire. That then people are like, well, I guess I'm not going to play. I'm just going to wait for next season. So,
but in a weird way, sometimes I think that people want to be a part of the negative thing, so they play in spite of it, so that they can then talk shit about it to their friends or talk shit about it online. So they play the thing and they just end up engaging with it in the same way. I don't know. I feel that sometimes. I feel that so strongly in Tarkov. I feel that so strong. Like,
it is enjoyable to bitch about it.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I would rather not. I would rather it not be bad, so that I didn't have to bitch about it.
Yeah.
If it's going to be bad and I'm going to do it, it's at least cathartic to bitch about it. But
but I think that there's something else. I think that there's that. There's I love this thing. A change was made to this thing that I don't like, but I really do love this thing. And because I don't like the change, it is cathartic to bitch about it. But I think there's another thing that happens where I hate this thing, and hate keeps me alive, and hate means I can subtweet and agree with X, Y, or Z. So I'll engage with the thing because I hate it, because of the changes, so that I can be up to date on what I'm supposed to hate. And so the guy who makes money off of you playing Diablo makes money either way. You're not sticking it to everybody by playing and I feel that so strongly in Tarkov. There is a group of people that played Tarkov and loved it, but didn't like what things were happening. And there was a day where they woke up and they realized they don't like playing Tarkov anymore, and they kept playing it. And then there was a day they woke up and they realized they hated Tarkov, and they kept playing it. And now they will continue to play the game and only be happy with the complete wiping off of the earth of every single person involved and every player of Escape from Tarkov and every computer that an Escape from Tarkov account has ever been on. That's the only thing that's going to make them happy. And yet they keep playing. And I just, I don't understand. I don't
you
understand.
Know the perfect metaphor?
There's maybe this
will elucidate. Maybe this will shed light. I don't know. But the way I see it, picture, the young couple that are always fighting, whatever they're I'm picturing like the boyfriend who is, always complaining about his girl, or he thinks he's cheating on her, or like whatever it is, right? Yeah. But they actually love each other, and they just, it's a struggle. There's challenges, and they're working through it, and they really love each other, and hopefully someday everything will be fine. That's me with Tarkov.
Yeah.
Right. And then imagine everybody knows the bro who doesn't give a fuck about his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Doesn't care at all. She's like, I got the 10 out of 10, but I'm going to flirt with other girls over here.
Yeah.
I don't, if she cheats on me, I'm not heartbroken. It's my ego is hurt. And fuck you, whatever, and you're with me because I fucking own, like, it's that relationship where people, like, some people, they don't care about the thing. They're just in it for, like, the wrong reasons, and they want to shit on it, and they want to hate on it, but for some reason, they don't just, like, move on.
Yep. That's exactly it. There's a whole, for sure.
I don't know if that metaphor made sense, but
there's a whole subsect of it. Well, there's some people I feel like who like just stick around and hope for the demise. Like they feel they hate it. They feel so strong. Like they just want to be around when it burns down, and they don't want to miss it. So they just like stick around and root for its destruction at every turn. It's just so weird, man. So
I mean,
weird.
you'll be the guy's gonna be such a shithead to his girl that he basically forces her to cheat on him so that he can play the victim, cause the drama, talk shit about her to all of his friends.
100%. He can be like, I told you so. I told you she was unfaithful. I told you she was whatever. Yeah. That is exactly it. And that's what a whole lot of people do. But it's weird because in what makes this real life different than that analogy is that they're benefiting. Like you're benefiting the people. Like when you keep playing Tarkov, that makes Tarkov look good because there are more players. When you keep playing Diablo, it's like the guys at the top of Blizzard are still making money off of you. You're not sticking it to anyone. It's so weird. So I don't know. It's weird, man. It's so weird. It's such a I don't know. Sometimes I love to go down the psychology road of why people do that. And then sometimes I legitimately think it's just angry people molding, and it's cheap to them. It's shallow. It's shallow hatred. It's shallow negativity that doesn't end up resulting in anything. So by me even trying to figure it out, sometimes I feel like I'm taking it more seriously than they do. It's just so weird.
Bro, it all, whenever you want to end up looking into it, it all comes down to, I think it was Hitchens who said, it's all proof that we are poorly evolved primates.
Yeah.
Our adrenal glands are too big. Our prefrontal cortexes are too small. We're just living off of our fucking reptilian brains. Yeah. And it's just now evolved to like, they're monkeys on the internet.
Yeah, and our reptilian brains were not prepared for the internet.
It's our shitty ape brains taken out of the fucking,
anonymous
the brush.
And unfiltered.
Yeah, taken out of the woods, the brush, the plains, running away from fucking tigers or whatever. And oh my god, bro. This exists definitely, where you have like the evolution of man, right? You have like all the different transitional fossils from like the monkey, whatever, all the way up to like a man, and then it hunches back down into a guy in a keyboard. Like
for sure.
Someone has to have done that
for sure. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. Did you see? I don't know. Did you see the alien stuff? I don't know why that made me think about that. The history of man made me think that, like, well, before we destroy ourselves, the aliens pick us up.
Yeah, and then it's the guy on the computer, and then it's like the tractor beam from the UFO, and then just skull and crossbones on the Earth. You know,
exactly.
I know nothing about it.
I don't
other
either.
Than the like two like
the
headlines
uber
I
viral
saw.
clip of the guy saying we have non-human biological remains. You know,
and
under oath in front of Congress.
And I'm sure it's some ex-military whistleblower or whatever, you know, that probably has a very interesting, like, conspiracyforum.com history of posting and whatever.
Adamson put me in, coach. I know, dude. He eats this stuff up. I don't know. I don't know what happened. It happened a few months ago where alien talk was coming back up, and then it's happening again. I don't know why these people are testifying in front of Congress. I don't know what their credentials are. I don't even know what they're saying. I just saw a clip on Twitter, and everybody starts freaking out. They're saying we have crafts, and they're saying we have non-human biological remains.
It all started when, like, a couple different things happened. One, a shit ton of, like, balloons, whether they were weather balloons or surveillance balloons or whatever, were like definitely terrestrial, definitely sketchy from like China or whatever. And then there's also been a bunch of different things that have been experienced by fighter pilots, and I think, where they'll see like a weird blip on their cameras and they follow it and they just like can't explain what it is and whatever. And of course, I'm willing to be wrong.
Yeah.
I await the fucking evidence, right?
Yeah.
But as of right now, there's one reasonable conclusion to come to, and it's what we always come to.
Yeah.
And it's not that the kid's dead.
The kid's dead.
It's that there's some completely mundane, reasonable explanation that we just haven't figured out yet.
Something stupid. Something not fun at all.
And just because a bunch of fighter pilots believe that it's aliens and are testifying for it, and a bunch of other people are risking their careers because they work for the government and we're going to go ahead and whistleblow, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And
none of it is evidence. None of it is evidence.
The other thing too is, like, I was talking to my wife about this, and it's like in a world where it took subtlety one afternoon to literally, without any work from us, put out a Linkin Park cover with you and me. In a world where just a dude on his computer in 2 hours can do that, what evidence would we even accept? If they showed me an alien, I'd be like, it's a prop. You know what I mean? Like, what would I don't even know. And here's the thing. I want there to be aliens so badly. You know what I mean? And I believe they're out there, but I'm just saying, I'm saying, like, what even is the, like, I don't even know.
Oh my God.
I haven't put really any thought into this. So
I want there to be aliens so badly, and I want to never know about it. Unless we find microbial life on, like, Io or something, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Because here's the way I look at it. If alien life has contacted us,
it's game over.
Not necessarily, but what we're talking about is, it's not even a fair comparison to say we are an ant.
No.
And they have they're a boy with a magnifying glass.
For sure. In order, the fact that something got here, it at all means that, you know what I mean?
They can press a button and we go bye-bye, right?
Yeah, they're unfathomably farther along technology than we are. Even just if something got here.
Yeah.
But I still want it. And I just want them to be
Yeah.
nice and chill and give us the tech and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I know that
Bro,
that's not a reasonable thing, but
do you
what
want
we're
Twitch
talking
chatters
about,
to have the alien tech? I don't think so,
I
but
do. I want a golden age of human. I want to go to space, and I want to go through a wormhole, and I want to colonize a planet, and I want it to happen in my lifetime. And unironically, the only way that happens in my lifetime is if aliens contact us and they're chill and they give us the tech. I just know that that's the only way it happens in my lifetime, and I want it in my lifetime.
No, bro, I'm telling you, when me and you were like 60, they'll probably be at the very least like go up to the ISS level orbit, probably. Like that'll be a thing. I mean, honestly, like I can see that happening within. Oh, we got people making fun of me for being old. No, I can.
So I know that's not going to happen.
I can see something like that happening for sure, and I think that would be. I mean, like literally would be one of the most like life. I can't imagine things that would be as transcendental, or powerful in my entire life, than seeing the Earth from space. I can't think of anything else. I just watched.
Finally prove it's flap.
I oh my god, that's what I've been into lately, by the way. And this is what this is what we could talk about for an hour and a half in an extra episode, is all of the shit that I've been watching regarding flat earthers and all that stuff.
I could talk. We could do a whole Patreon episode on flat earthers,
bro. It's, oh my god, it's the most golden shit ever. But I just watched a movie that I never even knew was a thing. It was, what was it called? Like First to the Moon? Nope, that's not it. I think that was actually a documentary, which I saw. But yeah, that's not what I saw. It was, no, now I'm not gonna remember, dude.
It was like a flat Earth thing.
No. It was a movie with, I want to say like Jake Gyllenhaal, but not Jake Gyllenhaal. Just like, you know, one of the like heartthrobby guys.
Yep.
And it's them, like the landing of the moon, like Gus Grissom.
Oh, okay.
Well, Gus beforehand. I can't remember the fucking name of the movie. Oh my god.
First Man,
is that it? Yes, Ryan Gosling. I was close, right? Ryan Gosling. Yeah, hoping to reach the moon by the end of the decade, NASA plans a series of extremely dangerous, unprecedented missions in the early 1960s. So it's basically all about Neil Armstrong. And the reason why I wanted to watch it was because, you know what you like never see in these movies is you never see like imagine just what it must have looked like from their perspective. I don't want music. I don't want anything. I just want the like opening of the door, seeing like the surface of the moon. Like, oh, and you know what? It was because someone had mentioned it in one of the flat Earth videos. They were talking about the lighting, and they were talking about how like insanely hard it would be, almost impossible to replicate the actual lighting of having something that bright that far away, right? Like you used to do photography, right? Like to try to fake that, because one of the biggest, we'll talk about this for 2 minutes, one of the biggest things that a bunch of people point to is the fact that like when you look at the shadows of like a bunch of the pictures, you have like the moon lander off here and like Neil Armstrong here, and you'll see like one shadow's like this and the other shadow's like this. And they're like, it's so far away that the shadows should be parallel. That means there's a studio light, right?
Yeah.
And one guy was talking about, he's a photographer, was talking about how the lighting, like how you couldn't do it that way, but also how it's perspective. It's literally the same exact thing as when you stand in front of railroad tracks and you look down them, they converge.
Yep.
And then he has like a million pictures on Earth where there's like a bunch of fence posts, and they're like, the one on the left is this way, the one on the right's like this way, like way more drastic, and it's like just totally debunking these people who were like, here's the ultimate proof that the that the fucking moon landing is fake.
Yep.
And at no point when you're like, here's a simple explanation for why the shadows aren't parallel. We can show it on Earth.
Yep.
There's never like a, my bad.
Yep.
Never, right?
Dude,
never
my
ever.
favorite footage of all time is the guys out in they were trying to prove with like a laser. They had it super far away, and if the laser, and it was like, if it was flat, so like they had a laser, and then like a mile away or whatever, they had a thing, and it was like, it should hit right here. Yeah. And then the footage, and the guy's like, huh, are you sure it's on? And then he was like, lift it up. Because it was like, if the Earth was curved, you would have to lift it up. So and he saw it immediately, and the dude is just like, interesting. That's where the clip cuts, and I'm like,
that's it,
brother.
I'm pretty sure that's the same guy. I think his name is Bob something or other. Where he also did like testing with a gyroscope, like a laser gyroscope, like super precise,
super expensive thing.
To see the and major respect to the guy for doing proper science, because he actually did it, and it was like figured out the number of degrees in rotation per hour, like whatever, and he came to the right number. And it's so funny because he ended up deleting the video, but it basically like proved that they were wrong
for sure.
And the meme in every video for years now is whenever the guys who are debunking the flat earthers are like, because we know that the rotation of the Earth is 14 degrees per hour. Thanks, Bob. And then it's like the meme. Thanks, Bob. It's just like the fucking meme.
Great.
Oh, it's all about the one guy that proved himself wrong.
Yep. So ultimately, I hope there's aliens.
If there is aliens, first of all, they'll be able to tell us, A, if the Earth is flat or not, and B, the more important question is the sky basketball?
Yeah.
Because I want to know the shape of the sky. Nobody's asking the real question.
The shape of the Earth. What about the sky?
What about the sky, bro?
What if we find aliens and they have hot dogs for fingers? And the universe where people have hot dogs fingers is just this universe. It's just we're not the people with hot dog fingers.
I'm pretty sure that's what string theory says. I'm not really up to date on the maths behind the like 42 dimensions or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that's the ultimate.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? It was okay. Have you seen the newest like reboot of the Star Trek series, like the movies with Chris Pine? There was like the
fuck no.
Okay, that's
God,
fine.
I hate
Whatever.
Star Trek. I wish I didn't, but I hate it. My dad loves it.
Okay, I don't care enough about either of them really, but the opening scene of the first Star Trek movie, but the reboot, okay,
with like the text crawling up the screen.
Yes, that's the one. The yellow text, galaxy far, far away, Star Trek.
Yep.
Gotcha. Darth Yoda comes out and says, no, sorry. The opening scene of the Star Trek movie is they're on like a mission, and the prime directive is like no contact. No contact with the alien life forms, because they're so devolved, and it's like we need to let them evolve at their own pace, and we're so far advanced from them that
like we have with like Aboriginal tribes in fucking Africa,
but like at an extreme, and there's so it was like the prime, and of course they messed it up, whatever. But I just always think of that where I'm like, that's us. Like if there's an alien ship on this Earth with an alien in it, if we have that,
they're like looking through the telescope at us.
That proves that's us. That it's like, if they're out there and somebody crash landed, they left him there because they don't want any more contact, because we're so just like stupid, incredibly stupid compared to them. You know what I mean? I was just thinking about that.
That's like that movie that I can't remember the name of. All I know is that it starts off with like showing one of those Aboriginal tribes where the guy's just out with his spear or whatever, and then he gets like hit with like a glass Coke bottle from the sky, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" I forget what the name of the
I don't
movie
know what
is.
movie
Coke
that is.
Bottle from the sky. Wow. I typed in Coke bottle from, and it says Coke bottle from the sky movie. The gods must be crazy. 1980. The gods must be crazy. The tribal people in a remote African desert live a happy life, but all is torn to pieces when a Coca-Cola bottle falls from a plane. When the villagers fighting over the strange foreign object, tribal leader, looks like Twitter, decides to take a bottle back to the gods to restore peace. His journey to the end of the world eventually has him crossing paths with bumbling scientists and a band of gorillas who take a school teacher and her class hostage.
Wow.
The gods must be crazy. Oh my god, there was a gods must be crazy too?
Wow.
Yeah, the UFOs are like the Roswell was the fucking bottle crashing, and they were like, ooh.
Yeah, exactly. So, wow. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just want to go to space. Dude, yeah, going and seeing the Earth from space would be the greatest thing. I want to terraform a planet. I don't know. I just love that stuff so much. And I know it's going to take so damn long. You know what I've been weirdly getting into a little bit is Warhammer 40K lore. Bro.
Oh my god.
I don't know why. I don't plan on playing the game or buying a figurine or...
I've got so many of my buddies who are like hardcore hours painting these models,
bro,
like the most precise
the lore is
shit.
Crazy, dude. The lore is nuts. It's cool. It's so deep and so intricate and so storied and so...
I don't even know the lore of Diablo yet,
dude,
so... And I've played it for 20 years.
Blood for the blood god. Dude, Warhammer is like a peek into another dimension. It's like... yeah, I don't know.
This is one of those things that like I'm just as interested in Star Trek as Warhammer, and yet I know that could be like the Outer Wilds, like it could be transformed the next 5 years of my life.
Yeah.
I just like part of me doesn't want to be interested in it because I can only be interested in one thing at a time.
Yeah. I just like ran out of like YouTube like video essays to watch, and I saw a thumbnail Warhammer 40K lore in 20 minutes, and it was like, whoa,
bro, you gotta watch Dave McKeegan.
Dave McKeegan.
Yeah. I'll post a link to one of the videos he just recently came out. He's like I'm not sure if he's Scottish or Irish. I'm really bad at telling the difference, but he just sits in his chair with his little dog, sits in his lap, and he just sits there and like shits on flat earthers and like debunks the videos and stuff while he's just sitting there petting his dog. Every video is just him chilling with his dog. He's like, it's really good. It's really good. He's actually he was a professional photographer, I think, or is a professional photographer. He only has 85,000 subscribers. Damn, he needs more. It's great content.
So good. So good.
Yeah, check him out. You should watch.
Oh, I love it. I love that stuff. Oh, bro. I saw one. It was like, this was a video, I don't remember, of an elected official. And she was like, she said, if the earth was really a globe, they wouldn't push it on us so much. Everywhere you go to a library, you see a globe. You go into a school, you see a globe. And it's like you bent so far backwards to make that logic that you arrived back at logic. It's everywhere because it's real. Like I was like, oh my God.
One of these days, what we're gonna have to do for the podcast is because it'll take about 2 hours, is I'm just going to sit here and read my honors thesis, which is like 300 pages of skepticism and the scientific method and why we believe dumb shit. And it's all about all the different ways in which we're fucking morons and we're wrong about stuff. And
and confident about it.
It's so
confident about what we're wrong about.
Oh, my good Christ.
Well, yep. So that's the stuff, hostess. I don't know why I always want to say that at the end. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging. Good stuff today.
It's Sponsored by our Patreon.
Sponsored by our future Patreon. Be on the lookout. We're putting out a bolo on the Patreon. It's coming soon. Thank you guys for the support as always. Interested to see what happens over the next few weeks in Tarkov land. And yeah, this is recorded on a real Thursday. So this will be live Monday morning, just like every other week. Dude, I don't know what day it is anymore, but thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging. And we will definitely see y'all on the next one.
The earth isn't flat.
Oh no, my God. Peace.